Hi, everyone. I just wanted to say thank you to our speakers on the keynote panel. I wanted to introduce Tom Logan, the CEO of Cohley, and he will be discussing evolution of influencer marketing.
Awesome. Thank you for the introduction, Logan, and hello to everyone virtually. I am Tom Logan. It's great to be here with you at the summit. I'm going to start off with a statement, and we'll roll into some facts about me, but I believe that the future of influencer marketing and the biggest value from influencer marketing is actually the content that influencers create, not necessarily the influence that they generate. So real quick, just a little bit about me. I live and work here in New York City. I'm one of just a few of us here in the office today. Unfortunately, I don't have this lovely exposed brick in my apartment. I grew up in Santa Barbara, California, actually on a ranch. We have 6 alpacas back at the ranch. And if I seem a little bit tired to you, it's because my wife and I had a really large family / life event this past Saturday. We adopted Van, a Corgi mix. He also has some retriever and lab in him, but he's getting used to his crate. Hasn't necessarily been sleeping super well, but we are completely obsessed with Van. All right, so we're going to start out with a quick quiz, and this will all make sense in a minute. But I'm just going to ask the audience, and feel free to just kind of note your answer in your head. But which photo do you think performed better from and this is all ROAS or click-through rate. So which photo do you think performed better? All right. Okay, so from a return on ad spend standpoint, it was about 7-to-1 in favor of the gal on the left on the beanbag chair. Next one, which photo performed better? Is it the orange slices or is it the picture of the chapstick with the marsh in the background? Okay, so it was the one on the right by about 3x. Next one and last one, quiz is almost over. Which photo performed better? All right, about 13-to-1, photo on the right. So the pet's lost in both instances. So what was the point of that? The point of that is to simply demonstrate that it's not always the photo that you think is going to perform best that ultimately does. And at Cohley, we're all about content generation and testing at scale. So when I say content, I mean photos, videos, and product reviews. And speaking of bold claims, I think that 5 years from now, brands won't make a single content decision that isn't heavily informed by testing, right? So in today's marketing environment, it's not necessarily that has the most creative idea or most outlandish, out-of-the-box marketing concept that wins. It actually is generally the marketing team and brand that commits to testing lots of different content, diverse assets, takes those learnings and weaves them into their ongoing campaigns. We call that content engineering. It's really a feedback loop. I'll get into that in a little bit when we talk about TikTok. So quick case study. We're at the fashion summit here, so if we didn't talk about a fashion client, wouldn't be doing you a solid. So Rhone, one of my personal favorite clients. If you're not familiar with them, they are a Salt Lake-based men's athleisure brand that's very heavily D2C e-comm focused. So quick case study on them, and this is something that we did in tandem with their CMO. His name is Adam Brightigan. So how it started, they were extremely sort of creative director driven. It was like, hey, we're going to put out this really handsome, jacked, millennial guy who best represents our brand, and this is our brand. But then what they realized after a conversation that they actually had with one of their advisors, you may have heard of him, Gary Vaynerchuk. Even if you've seen plenty of him on your LinkedIn, I'm sure. But what Gary challenged the Rhone team to do was to diversify the content that they tested. Test things that may have scared them or that didn't necessarily fall into the traditional ethos of the Rhone brand. And really, Rhone's founders state that they want to compete with the Nikes of the world. And what does Nike say? Nike's for every athlete, right? So if you're going to compete with them in this competitive men's athleisure space, you've got to do a lot of testing and you need to be able to connect with different demographics, right? So what they've done, and they're using Cohley content to power this shift in strategy, they've gone from testing 10 to 15 things a week, and that's across Facebook and Instagram, to more than 50 creative tests per day, right? So it's a pretty strong increase. And what that additional testing has opened up is actually seeing better results as well. And they continue to follow that content engineering process where they're learning, they're incorporating all this data, and they're outwitting and outgaining their competition, and have continued to create more and more separation in this competitive space. So this is representative of some of the new content. And this did not look like the content that they would be testing in paid or in any channel for that matter, just a few short months ago, right? And you can see what this represents an interesting shift for them. We have families represented. We have a dude with a dad bod. I can certainly relate to that. And we have a guy with a shirt that may be changing the color of his pet chameleon. We can't confirm or deny that, but it certainly looks like that's what's going on. And just to bring some data into this, why is more testing valuable? Like, why does it ultimately lead to better results? What we found via data through one of our ad partners is that about 5% of creative assets will unseat the previous king of the hill, right? Meaning the winning creative asset. So that means for every 20 assets that you test, you're going to unseat that winning creative, right? So 20 assets equals one new winning creative. And just to use some numbers that also have been generated through data points from thousands of brands, what that winning creative typically translates to is a 10% lift in click-through rate, which also leads to a 4% drop in CPMs, right? Because Facebook, in particular, really rewards that winning creative that's resonating, that's connecting, and is really driving results, driving traffic. So it's very real. And this is representative of the shift of the marketing environment in general, right? On the left, you have Don Draper representing yesterday's marketer, which is this, we're in this smoke-filled corporate boardroom. We're coming up with this genius idea. It's a Super Bowl ad. Here's how we're going to market hula hoops. And it's very much like a one-to-many type of marketing philosophy. Today's marketer, a little bit different, right? It's all about using data to make decisions. It's not about gut feel, and it's also about personalization and channel specificity, which I'll then use to transition seamlessly into talking about TikTok. So not too long ago, about 6 months ago, we were named one of 5 creative partners of TikTok's. And what that means is that they had a problem. Their problem, and the reason for this partnership in general, was that brands were coming to TikTok using assets that had performed well on Instagram, on their website, whatever, and they were trying to dip their toe in with these very branded, heavily branded produced assets. Well, TikTok is a very creator-driven channel, right? And you know, the way that the algorithm works is that it rewards content that's native, that's creator-driven, that's interesting, that tells a story, that gets something going and starts a movement, right? And candidly, we don't have a whole lot of data on TikTok, right? We don't really understand demographic data. They've been fairly coy about exactly the user demos, but we do know that they have 700 million daily active users, and that those DAUs spend an average of 52 minutes a day on the app. So it is worth your time to be there, and it is also a heavily it's a non-passive channel, meaning that you have to have the sound on, and it's not like Instagram where you can be watching Netflix or just messing around on TV and be on Instagram scrolling. You're actually very much engaged, and you're consuming short form video content. Right, so I mentioned content engineering. This is what I would suggest and what we tell all of our partners and clients when it comes to getting started on TikTok. Start with a variety of diverse assets that represent different creative interpretations of your brand, right, of your product. Test things that don't necessarily fall into that standard crux of your actual brand, but launch lots of assets, understands what's working, and also know that it's not necessarily going to be like that one ocean spray video that you put up first that's just going to blow up. Come in with lots of assets, you learn, you incorporate that data, and then what you can do is you can flip those into ads. So follow that content engineering path, learn, iterate, and then start to test content in a paid capacity. And turns out you join the conversation, you take those learnings from this complex environment, use creator-driven assets to connect with that audience and meet them where they are. You're going to experience great results. And again, 52 minutes a day from 700 million people, pretty real, right? So just to wrap up, it's been so nice to be here with you. I would say a challenge that you can try today or this week: double the amount of tests you're running, post a piece of content that scares you, and you can also start testing organically for free, particularly within TikTok with content that you wouldn't have necessarily tried before. So say hello. I'd love to connect with all of you, either in this in the capacity of this conference or externally. tom@cohley.com. That's my LinkedIn. But thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedules to be here with me and for being here at the conference with me virtually. We'll talk soon.